Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest is a very, very interesting one. Ben Johnston. He is a 4-1 MMA fighter, fighting out of Queensland. He's runs the Fight Centre. He's an Australian MMA middleweight. He recently took on, let me get this right, Yoon Xiao Shin at Eternal MMA 79 on the 23rd of September. Now, he beat Mr. Shin in round one, and there was a little bit of controversy with the bout. Now, the fight looks to be quite mismatched in terms of weights. Now, Ben Johnston is a middleweight, and if you see him, I think he's like 6'3", he's huge, and he's an incredible athlete. He's a two-time world Muay Thai champion. He trains at CityKickboxing. He's helped Israel Adesanya, the former UFC middleweight champion, the two-time UFC middleweight champion, to get ready for fights before he even emulated the former UFC middleweight champion and maybe future UFC light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira for a fight camp. Like, he is that caliber of a fighter. And he had a fight Eternal MMA 79 against Yoon Xiao Shin, and yeah, it really was. It felt like two weight classes difference, which, look, it stirred up a bit of controversy. Now, Ben goes in and explains just what happened, how it came about. There was a bit of confusion. I'm a man that calls it out when it's there. I've chatted to other people surrounded by that event, and I really do believe there was a lot of miscommunication. But either way, Ben chats about what happened from his point of view, kind of I won't put words in his mouth, but almost like the hollow feeling of the victory, but still what he took from it. And look, it's really, really good chat. I didn't know much about Ben beforehand, bar him just having a stellar resume. But what I like about it is that he goes into into the mind of fighting, of not just being an athlete, but being a man in the fight game. And I mean, he's 33, nearly 34, I think, around that. He does actually tell me. And just kind of, you can feel that time is almost running out. He wants to get to the UFC. He wants to see if he can. He wants to have a crack. I know I'm rambling a little bit before we get into the interview, but I just can't sort of establish enough. I guess I wanted him on the show just to chat about this fight and how it happened, and you know, maybe he comes on and he says, it's because of Eternal and blah 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 blah, and I do my pot stirring that I love to do. But it's just a really insightful interview of a man that has fought for so many years and what goes on in his mind. It's a little change of pace, but yeah, it's very interesting. So without further ado, like I said, the man touches everything. UFC, his preparation with Izzy and Tyson Pedro and the City Kickboxing boys, and he talks a little bit about Brogan Anderson, who is a guy in a very similar situation who's fighting John Martin Fraser for the Eternal MMA middleweight championship. He talks about starting his gym. It's just great. Yeah, guys, without further ado, right now, please welcome Ben Johnston. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me on the show, literally hit him up a while ago, but he said, hey, you want to chat, about 5 minutes ago. Ben Johnston, mate, welcome.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, Mitch.
Now, first of all, it's been a little, maybe a couple of weeks since your fight. How are the emotions from everything that's happened? Obviously, you got the victory, but let's just say in the most transparent way, you can't be too impressed with that, can you?
No, it's a funny one, man. Yeah, I mean, like, I go out and do my job. So, you know, it's not my fault that it wasn't what I was hoping it was going to be, you know. So I didn't know anything about the guy, by the way. I'm not sure. I don't think I've told anyone about this, but I didn't know anything about the guy. We got offered this fight 6-7 weeks ago. There's not that many guys. Look, I'm not involved with the matchmaking. I leave it to the coaches and Cam. But I don't think there's that many guys putting their hand up, So we got this guy who's apparently been chasing us. Cam reckons he's hassling him every day if he can get this fight with me. And then he sends me his name, which means nothing because so how do you look up this guy? I think I found an old fight, it was like 3 or 4 years ago, and I just messaged Eugene and said, hey, I'll take. I can't find much on the guy, but if you like it, I like it. So we said yes, and then about 2 or 3 weeks ago, or 2 or 3 weeks before the fight, I found like another video that was like somewhat recently, because over there their name is like back to front or something like that. So I end up finding one, and I'm looking, and I'm like, I think this guy's small. He was at like 75 kilo or something like that. And I was like, man, this guy's little. And his record is wrong as well. The fight that I saw, he was 2-2 on his record on Tapology. And I found the most recent fight, and Tapology has got it wrong. He actually lost his most recent fight, so he's 1-3. So I'm waiting, going, okay, this guy's getting a hiding here. He must. On Tapology, it says he won by a rear naked choke, and then I'm watching. Then the guy I fought gets done by a rear naked choke. I'm like, so he's 1-3, and he's over 10 kilos lighter. I'm like, okay, all right. And then I was Well, at the same time, like you sort of go, all right, well, that kind of sucks. But at the same time, so I had a fight in 2010, and then my first one back in just a bit of a year ago, I got stopped in the first minute by a guy that came up from lightweight to welterweight, and I cut all the way down to welter, and I lost in the first minute or two. So I'm like, all right, I got to take this guy seriously, because I thought I was just going to walk through Caleb Wright out until he's hit me with that random spinning back fist. You know what I mean? So I've got to take this seriously. I can't think that I'm going to smash this guy just because I'm a lot bigger, because I've been caught before, So then when it was all over, it'd be like, damn, you sort of prepare for a war. You sort of get in the mindset of, all right, take it to 15, do whatever you have to do, win, and then it's over, and you're like, oh man. So it's a bit, it's a little bit hard to enjoy it. But look, it's a win, and I'll take the win, and I'll move on and just do the next thing, whatever that is.
Well, I mean, no one is doubting your skill. That's at least, I feel like that's unanimous. I mean, you're one of the highest caliber guys going around. And if anything, I mean, no one thought Benny Johnston, he's pulled a fast one on us. Like, everyone could feel your sort of disappointment throughout it all. And look, calling for the UFC after that victory, probably not. You calling for the UFC, I mean, it's not out of the question. I mean, you work with the highest guys in the world. Put yourself back into that post fight and your thoughts on what's next. Do you really think that the UFC could be next?
Man, look, if you're a professional fighter and your whole goal is to be in the UFC, and someone says, "What do you want to do next?" You think, okay, put it now, and now you're 33 years old. You've been fighting 15 years. You're two-time world champion in Muay Thai. You're sparring with Israel Adesanya, Carlos Ulberg. You got Darcy Vendy locally. You got Nick Kepu, Diego Pereira. You got all these guys who are like the best training partners. And they go, "What do you want to do?" You go, "Oh, I'd like to stay locally and fight for another 2 years in Australia, and then hopefully they pick me up." You know what I mean? And I get it. I get why people say that, you can't do it off the back of that performance. It's not that performance, bro. You could have asked me that any time in the last 6 months, and I'll tell you, I want to be in the UFC, I'll keep doing these local fights until I get there, but I would like to do as little fights here as possible before I get there, because like I said, man, I turned 33 in 8 days or something like that. So at some point, I don't know what that number is, Is it 35? Is it 36? At some point, the UFC may look at that and go, all right, that number is too high to sign a guy. And that number's not too late to be the champion. Like, as you look at, you know, Pereira, Izzy, they're all 30-something, right? But is that number too late to be coming in if you're 35, 36? You know, I don't know, bro. I'm not a UFC matchmaker. I'm not Dana White or whoever, you know. So before that number gets high, I want to get in there, bro, and I just want to have a crack and see where we end up. And if I get in there and fall on my face, I'm all good with that. You know, like let's go. I'm ready.
So you would gamble your entire career, everything you've built up until this moment, on one fight in the UFC against anyone?
That's not a gamble. That's the goal. That's the goal, bro. What do you mean? Am I going to go in? Am I going to go in and be afraid of losing, like at the highest levels in the whole sport? That's not a gamble, bro. That's the goal. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what every fighter is trying to do. And if you're too scared to get in the UFC and lose on debut, then choose another fucking sport that's easier. This is the goal. This is the dream. And if you go to the highest levels and you fall on your face and you're worried about doing that in front of everyone, good, don't do it. I'll have a go.
And going back to that fight heading in, do you think, was it better to just, no, let me go back a step. Have you had any sort of talks with anyone that has let you know that the UFC has even got an eyeball on you?
No, man, I don't know. I don't know if I'm meant to say anything or what. I got, you know, like nothing's been formal. Like I've not had no sit down with anyone. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
So would it have been better? I mean, look, we've all heard that answer before. We know what that means. But when it comes to that fight, would it have been better for you to have just sat it out, or do you still think that victory put you a step forward?
Oh, I don't know, bro, to be honest. Yeah, and just to clarify with, you know, before, like it's just passing comments that some guys who have connections have made to me about talking about me. But it's not like, oh, we got something in the pipeline, you just have to do this. There's no clear pathway for me yet. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just, you know, doing what everyone's trying to do and trying to turn some heads. You know. So that other question to follow up about would I have been better off to sit it out? I don't know, bro. You know, I don't know. Like the beauty of MMA is your record isn't everything, in terms of you can have a couple losses and it's not going to like completely ruin your chances, but it's something, you know. So leading into this, I was 2-1 because Tapology wouldn't recognize one of my fights that I had in 2010. So I need to get another win.
Did you only have one in 2010? Was there two?
No, I had one in 2010. Then I had Ride Out recently, and I had another 2 wins, you know, and before this fight. So before, like, I need to get fights going. And it sounds like we're picking easy wins. It's not the case. You know, it really isn't, bro. I can honestly say that. But I need to get fights, and then this guy puts his hand up. Sweet, let's go, let's take it. So sweet, if I win that makes me 3-1. And then like a day before the fight, Tapology comes back and says your fight has been approved. Pain in the ass. I sent them videos, letters from the promoter, like everything they asked for. It was like months and months of back and forth, and then finally they came back and said it's been approved. So now I've, you know, as of the weekend, I'm 4-1, which, you know, hopefully looks appealing. You know what I mean? So as to whether or not that was a good move in terms of does it make things look better or worse having that win on my record, I got no idea, bro. But you don't know until you do it, do you? I didn't know until 2 weeks ago that he was a little fella. You know, so what am I going to do? Pull the pin on him then? You know? Yeah.
Yeah. Now let's say the UFC or the bigger promotions don't come a knocking, and you do have another fight locally, are you going to make sure it is locally, or will you take another international?
No, I don't know, bro. Like, I don't know. I'll leave that up to the people that make those decisions, because that's not my. When you're too close to it, man, it's kind of hard to see the bigger picture sometimes. So you just got to surrender to the process and go, whatever we're doing, I'll let it happen. You know, and there's a question of, do you sit around and wait and hope that a local fight comes up, or do you just take whatever you can get and just keep getting the experience? Because experience is experience, man. Whether or not I beat that guy in the first minute or the 15th minute, it still counts for something, that whole experience. And I feel more comfortable every time. You know, I had a couple of years off after, pardon me, a couple of years off after my Muay Thai career, you know, and with each fight, I've felt more and more comfortable coming back in, right? So that's got to count for something too. Now, if I didn't have this fight, like the one that I just had or the one before, and say for some weird miracle happened, I just end up getting slotted straight into the UFC without those couple of fights, even though my last couple of fights haven't gone the distance. My one against Emil Jeffries, whatever his name is, finished that in the first 2 minutes. This guy finished in the first 3 minutes. Can't stand he finished it in early the second round. It's like, even though you add them all up, it's not even a full fight.
Yeah.
It's still experience, bro. You know, so whatever, I'll take it.
Well, would you have done, seeing that now that, you know, the UFC is the goal, the MMA is the goal, obviously you've had the Muay Thai career, would you have done anything differently leading up to this moment, or are you happy with how it's panned out, even though it's so hard to find fights?
So what do you mean? Like,
would you have chased MMA perhaps sooner? Yeah.
Yeah, probably, bro. Like, you know, it's a hard one, eh? Like, I got that, bro. So the WBC is obviously the for boxers and kickboxers, Muay Thai guys, it's the one. Everyone wants that green belt, you know. I got one of them. Like, I got it forever, you know. And that's proudly hangs up on the wall at the gym, and I'm happy with that. But there was like I said, there was like 3 years where I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm like, all right, I'm 28 at that point. I'm like, I'm 28 years old. It's getting too late to start something again from the beginning. So I got to figure out which one I want. I want to do something else. I'm not done fighting. Do I want to do MMA? Do I want to do boxing? And I thought it was boxing. So I'm like starting to make the transition to thinking I'm going to be a pro boxer. And it was like muddy waters. I don't know where I'm going to go, which promotion, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like stuffing around, bro. And it just, you know, in the meantime, started doing jiu-jitsu. You know, it took like 3 years to figure out, okay, and maybe MMA is the one, you know. So I wish I did that earlier, because, yeah, then I wouldn't feel as pressed for time, if that makes sense.
And it does feel like you are pressed for time. Do you have a sort of, if I'm not in the UFC by 38, 30, like, is there an age?
Man, look, if they come back and say, no, you're too old, well, good, man. You know, I'd crack. Like, all good. What do you, yeah. You know, so I'm not thinking, oh man, I wish I did more. I wish at this point it's like, let's just have a proper crack and let's just see where we end up and just go for it, you know. And I got the confidence to do it, man. Like like I said, I've been training with some of the best guys in the world, and even like I've got great grapplers around me too. And we, you know, yeah, we're doing some cool things. So yeah, like I'm not pressed for time in terms of how my body feels, because I feel like I'm still getting a lot better, and like I feel like the curve is trending upwards, like really steep. But it's only, bro, it's perception of others that's the determining factor. if the guy who's going to give the contract, if he decides that I'm too old, then he's the gatekeeper, and that's what it is. But do I feel too old? I'm like, nah, bro. Like, I'm sure at some point there's got to be and everyone's different, but at some point everyone's rate of decline due to their age is going to be like this, right? But their skills, as long as they're still trying to improve their skills, and it's not about fitness. And I don't train for fitness. I'm like, it's all about skill development, and I feel like my skills are doing this. So as long as that imaginary average line is still trending upwards at a rate that I can feel like I can keep ahead of the competition, then I'm going to keep doing it.
So let's say the UFC calls you up tomorrow. They go, "No, mate, you're too old. Doesn't matter what you do. We're not doing it." Are you done with fighting, or do you still love it? Is it something you kind of want to do forever?
Well, I would, and I'll have to a think about after this interview whether I really want this going out to the public or not. I'm not sure. But to me, bro, you should see my team. Like, you should see the TFC squad that comes down and trains full time for 4 or 5 hours a day. I got plenty that I can put my efforts into once fighting's done. So at this point, I'm so free. Like, in terms, I've spoken to other professional fighters, who I won't, say their name, that are like, this is all I've got, and if this doesn't work out, I'm fucked. Like, if this doesn't work out for me, I've got nothing else. So I need to make this work. And that's coming from a place, to me, of like scarcity, of like, not fear, but I don't know, you know what I mean? Whereas me, it's like, I'm so free. I have such a good safety blanket. Like, our gym is, it's going well, man. I love it. I love being down there. I love teaching other people. I love the problem solving aspect, and I love being a part of something that's not just me. It's like I've got a whole team of people that I'm like watching kick goals, and it's so satisfying, bro. Bringing someone up and seeing them go further and further. So if fighting's done, then it's all good, man. The transition is going to be like that. You know what I mean? Like, all right, UFC, sorry, man, no more UFC. You're too old. Cool, all good. I'll see you in there on the other side of the cage.
Interesting. So it is very much like you're like, I just want to see if, or almost like that you belong with the best in the world, but that there are other factors, and a lot of fighters fail to see this. There's a lot of narrative in the career. You got to be right place, right time. You got to be right age, all that sort of stuff. And I feel like you understand that, and within that you got the skills to mix it up with the best in the world. But if they say you're kind of relying on one guy or two guys saying that you can come in and be a part of the UFC.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's actually incredibly profound. So obviously you've got a bit of love for coaching and obviously passing the knowledge on.
Yeah, bro. I mean, yeah. Like, we wouldn't have started the gym if I didn't. It's been going for the best part of a decade now. So, and I was put into that young, which wasn't probably ideal for my fight career. But it was such a lucky thing that happened, because the transition from fighter to the rest of my life is going to be seamless.
So obviously it's something that you can do like financially forever as well.
Yeah.
And what did it take for you to get the gym to that level? Like, do you have a sort of business brain? Do you just like, what got the gym there?
Well, me and my best mate, so me and this guy that we trained together at Iron Fist, and that was where we started Muay Thai, and we would lived at the same house. James Jarvie, his name is, lived at the same house, trained together, we worked together. So I'd literally be with him for 16, 17 hours a day. I'd knock on his door, yo, going to work, or we'd probably knock on my door more accurately. But yeah, we'd get in the same car, drive to the same job, work together, same car home, drive to training together, come home together, cook dinner, go to bed, and that was like that for like a year, So, and then I went overseas, came back, we moved back in together, and same thing again. So when it come time to have him as a business partner, it was ultimate trust from the get-go, and he looks after the more like admin side, I guess. He runs our sort of staff team, and I sort of run the fighting side of things. You know what I mean?
How many do you have at the gym?
Pushing 1,100 at the moment.
Woo.
Yeah. So about, we celebrated 1,000 a few months ago, and to be honest, we've sort of like there's no urgency for us to put more people. If it keeps organically growing, all good. But we're not doing big membership drives or anything like that. We're happy with how it's sitting, and we'd like to grow. If we're going to keep growing, we'd like to do it steadily, and not just to be like, oh, we got all these members, we don't know what to do with them now. You know what I'm saying?
And how does it feel from going no members to getting your first member to obviously putting up 1,000? Oh,
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's satisfying, bro. Like you start, we had you look at the old photos from the very first gym, and it's like some random colored wall there, and a green thing there, and a blue thing there, and that red and the old school red and blue puzzles that everyone had.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ring was a branded faded blue color, and yeah, just from that to what it is now, just like a proper professional. We got, I don't even know our floor space, but like we've got a crane in the gym that we can hang a bag off. Like you'll have to come and check out the gym one day if you're in town, bro. But like just from what it started off to what it is yeah, the growth is crazy, man. And I think it's just if you just. It's funny, bro. We had a couple trainers leave about a year ago. We'd sort of just started our MMA thing, and our boxing, a couple of our boxing trainers left to do their own thing, which is all good. We're still good friends with these guys, But it was heartbreaking, because they're like the guys have been with you for a decade, and they're like some of your best mates. So it was time. They want to do their own thing. So it's like all good. It is what it is. But we sort of had to start again because we lost a big chunk of our fight team. I'm like trying to be a professional fighter. I've got to now run a boxing team and build a boxing fight team up from the ground up. Got to run the Muay Thai team. I'm teaching all the jiu-jitsu classes, and I've just started teaching MMA classes, So it was like, man, and we're sitting in the office, me, Jarvi, and Lorena, one of our other business managers, like a operations manager. Like, what are we going to do? I'm like, I'll do it, And they're like, you can't. They're like, you can't. I'm like, no. Just leave it with me. I'll do it, And they obviously, when I say it, I just mean running. They do so much. It's ridiculous in the back end things. But just out on the floor, just like, nah, I'll just leave it with me. We'll make it happen. And then, you come in at lunchtime, and we got our MMA crew, and there's like 10 pros that are all like just striving to be the best, and they're all in. You're like, this is what I wanted to attract. This, like, people that just want to go 100% and just see where they can make it. And it's all, and no one's afraid of losing. None of our guys are afraid of losing. It's just like, just fucking just have a crack. And if you fail along the way, so what? Just try again. It doesn't matter. There's no shame in it. Yeah, so it's an awesome culture we got down there, and it's incredibly satisfying, bro.
So, what got you into combat sports to begin with?
Oh man, I think what does every 18, 17-year-old, male want to do combat sports? Like, just you want to get some respect and like learn how to fight. Essentially, I would have been getting into too many. Like dumb ones outside of the gym, and started training for that reason. And obviously it's it's cliche, but that sort of sorted that out, and that doesn't happen anymore, obviously. But yeah, when I was younger, I was definitely getting into too many and fancied myself a bit tougher than I think I really was. So yeah, that's sort of why I started, and I just kept doing it because, sometimes you don't even know why you like things, you just like, I've always struggled with this. If you ever speak to mindset coaches and that sort of thing, they always like, find your why. It's a really common question that you hear with like even personal development, business coaches, that sort of thing, like, find your why. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I just like it. That's my reason why. I just enjoy it.
Do you, like, when you walk into, I feel like you're that type of guy that, like, there'll be 10 guys in a room, right? You don't care if you're the third toughest, the fourth, or the best. You kind of just want to know. And it's got that vibe of like, and not in like a tough guy way, just you just want to know where you stand in the world. Are you the best or are you top 10? And I feel like that has been the journey.
Yeah, a little bit, bro. Like, especially lately, especially the last couple of years has been, let's just see, yeah. If I'm in a room full of 10 guys, unless someone issues a challenge, I'm not interested. You know what I mean? But if I'm like striving to, there's potential for me, and I really feel like I have a shot. I can do well and I can excel in the UFC. I honestly believe that. Well, let's have a crack. Why wouldn't I try? And the biggest reason I feel like for most people is the fear of not being able to do it, and it's just hurting your own ego because you think you can do it. You tell yourself you can do it, but what if you fail? And then for some reason, somewhere they might find an excuse as to why not to do it, right? And let's not let that get in the way. Like, that's if you're controlled by the fear of losing, then you just don't try and do things at all. And there's so many things we try, even like with the gym, bro. Like we opened up the gym, me and Jarvis, and the first thing our accountant told us was, you'll never make any money. Now I'm not rich, but we have enough money in the gym to pay like 20 staff.
Yeah.
Like, it's how good. Not only do I get to live my dream and Jarvie, but there's 20 other people that survive, feed their families, whatever, and also get to live their dream of being in a sport, like making a living off the sport that fighting never gave them. Because if you fight, as you know, unless you're the top couple in the world, you're broke, So here we are,
Now, you talk about taking chances and finding out what has been throughout all the combat sport. What's been your biggest professional sort of quote unquote failure, like loss? You gambled it all and it didn't pay off.
No, I don't think I've had one. Like I don't think I've had one, bro. Because I mean, you could say I made my return and fought Caleb Wright out and got knocked out, stopped, whatever you want to say, in the first 2 minutes, and if that was where it ended, then there's my gamble that didn't pay off. But whatever, like, oh well, I had a crack and I lost. And so what? I'll try again and see what happens. And I come back and I'm better. And I come back again and I'm better and keep on winning. And it's like, well, that's just a loss now. That's not a gamble that didn't pay off. That's just that was just a stepping stone and a learning curve,
A couple more before I let you go. How did you end up with City Kickboxing? And I believe, did I see right that you had to impersonate Pereira for Israel Adesanya?
Yeah. No, that was like, and it was, I saw a video, someone sent it to me. It was like a Joe Rogan, and they were like showing footage of me spotting Izzy, and it's like, and Joe Rogan's going, look, he's fighting Pereira. I'm like, yeah, I literally did. And trying to learn how to stand like him was like detrimental to my style. Like those habits still pop out for that 2 months or whatever. I was like chin up in the air, hands down, like bouncing, doing like a pendulum step, sort of like fainting, like this. And it's not the way I fight, bro, But like at the end of the day, how cool. That's a small sacrifice, and it's only a small sacrifice, let's be honest. I'd like study his style and try and be like him to maybe help a little bit with preparing for like one of the biggest MMA fights in history, just being a part of that, being out the back and all that, yeah, that's one of the coolest things you could ever experience, But in terms of how I ended up with City Kickboxing, it seemed just the obvious choice, and they don't just let anybody in. Like I sort of had to reach out and go through a few different avenues. And Eugene is notoriously hard to get a hold of.
Yeah.
Like, but I managed to get a hold of him, and it was like during COVID, so I managed to sort of secure myself a spot in the team. And I sort of make a trip once every month or so and try and spend about a week over there. So that, sort of whether I'm fighting or not, I'll try and get over there just for a trip, Yeah, they're good. They're good guys, man. They're really good guys.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky.
Yeah. Brogan Anderson's almost in a very similar situation to what you are with that. Like he's got the skills. He's fought obviously a couple more MMA fights, but on that 33, 34 sort of trying to break in, and it's almost like the age is going against him.
Yeah. Well, Exhibit A, right?
Mate, before I let you go, I just want to kind of ask you, I do ask everyone this, but after it's all said and done, how does Ben Johnston want to be remembered in combat sport, not just mixed martial arts?
I mean, I'm not trying to build a legacy, honestly. Not under Ben Johnston. I would like TFC, the brand, and I hate the word brand, just our team. I would love that it just keeps giving back. When I was over in Miami, and just seeing how generous Eugene and Izzy are, and it's like, I think they realize that there's not going to be many people in history that are ever going to be given the opportunities that Izzy's been given. But he brings people with him, like I have no idea how much he would have spent on flying other people over to watch him fight. It starts to become a significant percentage of what I imagine his paycheck would be. I'm like counting, I'm like 30, 31, 32, 30, like look at all these people that he would have paid to come over, they're like, a 65 kilo fighter from CKB. Like there's no value in Izzy bringing this guy over, but he just does it because he knows this guy may never get that opportunity to do this again,
Yeah.
So seeing that and like seeing how they are able to pay it forward, it's like I'm starting to become in a similar position where maybe we can give some other people some opportunities as well. And I obviously don't have the money like that, but that was inspiring. It's like, okay, once you get a bit, you got to give it back, and you got to make sure you bring people along. And because you don't know when it's ending, for everybody. So yeah, that's as a fighter, I don't care, bro. It's for me at this point. I just want to see where we go and see where I end up with it. But I'd like people to think of the gym and what we've done in that side of things. I'd like people to think of that fondly for sure.
And that it's funny you brought the Izzy bit up, because I know that it's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars that he's even spent, like even for UFC Sydney, like the amount of guys he brought over on his own dime is ridiculous, and you never hear about it. So I think it's really nice you brought that up. Mate, final one before I let you go. What is next for you? Is there a fight on the horizon? Hello. That partner,
is there a fight
sister, friend?
What's that, mate?
I said partner, sister, friend.
Yeah. Sorry, that's my partner. Yeah.
I just know, people might be listening to the interview and they'll be like, "Oh, is he single?" Well, like, unfortunately, he is not.
Yeah. 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 I don't know. I doubt it. I'd reckon it's largely male-dominated audience.
Look, I'll be honest. We're big between the 25 to 34-year-old male demographic. So if that's a little...
Yeah. When's the next fight? I don't know, bro. Like Cam mentioned to me something like on the way out of the cage. But I don't know. I'm going to go ahead. I'm heading to CKB on Friday, so I'll just catch up with him then and see what the plan is, see what's happening. Most likely it'll be on Eternal, whatever it is. So we'll just see what happens, bro. See what plays out with this Brogan Anderson versus Martin Fraser, and see what happens there, bro. And just
Would you fight Brogan?
No.
Okay, fair. All right. Well, thanks for taking the time.
What did you expect, bro?
No, look, I don't know.
Imagine if I said yes.
No, but you guys, you guys could have this like, oh yeah, we're just a couple of brothers like scrapping it out. You never know.
Yeah, nah, I'm not interested, man. Yeah, he's a great guy. He's a great guy, and just man, there's enough, Nah, I'm not going to fight Brogan.
You know what's funny? I don't even need to ask you this. My question was going to be, if it was you two, they're like, we're only taking one 33-year-old or 34-year-old. You guys got to fight it out. Winner gets it. I reckon you'd go, you have it, Brogan. I'm going to run a gym.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, all good. I doubt that that's going to come to that, and maybe that's the wrong thing to say. Maybe there's some dude watching 30 or 40 minutes into this interview. Let's be honest, probably not happening. But he goes, oh no, that's the wrong mindset. Nah, man, it's all good. Brogan can have it. Yeah, and let's be honest, bro. Like, the gym is going to be there. Like, it's not. I could do any stage in the next 3 or 4 years when it ends. When it eventually will, which it always will, everything ends, I'll slot into it then. I'm in no rush. If I can keep riding this and keep getting more out of this life that I'm living right now, and there's more opportunity to be had and there's more potential there, and I'm still improving and still getting better, I am gonna full throttle it, But if it's over, it's over. It's okay. I accept it and I move on.
Well, mate, perfect way to end it. Thank you for taking the time, Mr. Ben Johnston. I'm glad we got you to come in and really tackle almost like a tough topic head on. And it was good to get inside the mind, because I don't think a lot of people would know that much about your sort of mindset towards fighting. And I think it's really interesting. So thank you.
Man, I actually appreciate it. Like, because I did see a few comments on I think it was the Eternal post. Some people were, sort of had some negative things to say, I'm like, well, at this point, I feel like I've tried to be pretty clear that I am asking for it if it's there, as would anybody else. So it's kind of like, well, look, if people have really listened to this much and really have had a look at who I am, and that's what they come up with, that I'm a piece of shit, and that's on them, bro. Like, I'm comfortable, with what the message I've been putting out and the way I've been trying to go about it, and what's been in my control and what hasn't. All good. If people don't like me, that's all good. That's part of it, bro. It's just practice. And if I do make it all the way, I know I'm rambling on a little bit, but when we were in Miami, looking out the window, and there's this kid with like some Izzy sign that's basically just putting shit on Izzy. And he's like an 18-year-old kid, skinny little, I don't know what national. I think he was Brazilian, but couldn't, hard to tell by looking at him. But he's just there like, Izzy's going to get frozen like Elsa, and he's just waving that sign, I'm like, this is the internet in real life, bro. Like, this is it. This is through a window. And mind you, bro, on the inside of the bus, you've got like all of Izzy's Polynesian security guards. You got the Balkan Bear, who is just Brando's like frothing at the mouth. He's like, Izzy, let me go get him. Let me go get him. And then you got me, Navajo Sterling, Tyson Pedro, and we're all just fucking seething, bro. There's like 15 people that are all like 100 kilos or so or more. And there's some little kid, 18-year-old, skinny, 60 kilo, like waving a sign around, just ragging on Izzy, you know? I'm like, how does he do it, man? Like, how does he put himself through that? Because what you always remember the negative comments and not the positive ones, you know? And then I don't know if you saw the video, but it was like a week and a half out from Izzy's fight, I've done this takedown and like almost finished. I tore his MCL, grade 1 CL tear, right? And I'm like, this happened after the fight that it all got released. But I got look on the comments and I'm like, damn, the internet hates me, you know? And then, you know, I sort of didn't look at my phone and went down the gym and had a laugh about it. Like, man, look at these guys. They'll hate me. It's fun, you know, laughed about it, trained, and didn't look at my phone and just forgot it was a thing, you know? So it's like actual practice to you kind of like experience this and like reframe it in your head so that it doesn't, you know, take over your whole mindset. But that's kind of the way I'm trying to look at it now. It's like, all right, well, if people are hating on me, people are talking rubbish, like, I'm not going to lie, it affects me, but dealing with it, practicing, getting past it, and like, whatever, man. Like, I know who I am, you know. It gets easier after each time that it's happened.
Awesome, mate. Thank you so much.
Nah, thanks for having me on, bro. I appreciate it.
Anytime, brother. I'll let you go.
All right, mate. See ya.
Thanks, legend.